And these are not pets that you're peeved at, Father Greg.
No, your original thing said things in bird gaming that you hate.
Oh, did
it? Not pets.
I thought
said
you were
bird
making a
gaming.
pet joke. Oh, that's
my
funny.
pet peeves in bird gaming? Those damn canaries.
What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punchboard Party. My name is Daniel.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Father Greg.
And we are here putting together a couple videos, pre-recording them to upload throughout the month of July. Sarah and I are on vacation visiting family. Father Greg graciously came over. Sarah had a great idea to just do a couple videos that I could edit while I'm on the road and get up throughout the month of July. And so our top 10 board games from Board Game Geek, that series will resume momentarily once we get back. But until then, enjoy this video. And what is this video, Father Greg?
This is our pet peeves about board gaming experiences.
So Sarah, what was the criteria for this list for you?
Things that I don't like.
Okay.
Accurate description of a pet peeve.
I couldn't really think of pet peeves off the top of my head, and then when I got rolling, I came up with more than I needed. So.
She's ready to come. So yeah, for me, I mainly stuck with things that happen around the board game table that bother me. So things that players do or things like that just kind of irk me. I'm nervous to share this list because this is going to make me sort of sound like a bad person. As I share these things, people are going to be like, oh, what a jerk. But I usually keep my frustration about these things to myself when they happen.
For sure.
But they are things that under the surface, I'm kind of like, oh.
So for sure, I kind of kept out of this things that annoy me about like board game design in general. So but yes, this is more around like the players or the events that happen sort of around the table, the difficulties that can happen in creating sort of a board gaming group and so on. Yes, these are all things that have happened, but this is not any specific person in general that I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, I'm
more
thinking of
like
specific people.
A collection of, just different... and sometimes I've done these things too, if I'm honest.
No, so the things that are on my list are things that happen repeatedly, regularly. All kinds of people do it.
Right.
It's my problem, not yours. Father Greg, why don't you start us off with this list?
Okay. So the first thing is, especially if you're planning like a board gaming night, if you're planning on getting like a group together, if you're planning on getting like 4 or 5 people, it's not just like 1 or 2 guys coming over for like a casual night of board gaming. But if you're planning on like a kind of serious event, you need to know when everyone is showing up. And so if you've got like 5 players and one guy's not there and you're like texting him like, hey, are you coming? And he's like, I'm a little late. It's like, how late? Can we start at a 20-minute game, an hour game, a 2-hour game? Like, what are we talking? And I know I've done this too. I've been like late to events. We've all have things that prevent us being where we want to be at the time. For sure, I understand that for me is like, it's like, okay, well, do we want to just start playing without him?
But that's incredibly frustrating, right?
For sure.
Especially when you have a plan, you've all talked about it beforehand, you know what's going on, you know why you're there, and then you're kind of forced to like pseudo-plan.
Right.
And how much time do we have to kind of do that?
You should tell them what Father Greg sent you when you asked him when he was coming.
Oh yeah, he always does this. Whenever I say, hey, when are you going to be here? He sends me, what song is that?
On my way, on my way.
And so
I would like to reach out my hand.
That diffuses the whole situation. He's like, I know Daniel's probably getting annoyed with me, so I'm just going to kind of like have fun here.
No, it's not because he's late. It's just like, I thought that was funny.
Okay, my first pet peeve, and this is one that we talk about all the time, but the infamous question, can I look at my cards? Yes! You can look at your cards. Why would I give them to you if I didn't want you to look at them? If I don't want you to look at them, I'm going to deal them out in front of myself, and I'm going to keep them close to me until it's appropriate for you to look at them or not look at them. If this is Hanabi, I'm going to say, here are your cards, but you actually don't look at them. I'm going to be very clear about this. If I'm just throwing you a hand of cards, what game other than Hanabi are you given a hand of cards that you can't look at? But every single time I play a game, without fail, someone asked this question. Who was teaching them Go Fish as a child? And said, now don't look at those. Like, what happened to them?
Now I just do it for fun. Just
Yes.
I can't get over how emphatic you are. Like, oh, this is supposed to be a lighthearted video.
This is a deep-seated wound.
This is the one pet peeve I knew would be on Dan's list.
Oh, yeah.
I was just waiting
I
for this
wanted to
moment.
get it out of the way. Just
Right. It's a valid one. It's a good question. Why would I hand you cards if you can't look at them?
That's right.
But Dan gets inordinately upset, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
when that
But I
question is posed.
I just, I go, yes. Sarah, what's your first pet peeve?
Okay. I'm a little nervous to say this one.
It's going to be directed at me.
Yeah.
Not directed towards a particular person, except my husband.
At no one in particular. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to board games is the rules explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's totally understandable.
No. I think you're a good rules explainer. I really like when we're with a group of friends. Daniel gets like really thematic about his explanation. I think that's super fun. I don't know what it is. I just like want to get to playing the game, especially heavy games. It's just, really tedious to sit through like all the rules, especially like it usually doesn't click for me anyway until I'm playing, but you have to hear the rules or at least most of them to start playing. If I'm tired or I just don't like learning new games. The longer the rules explanation, the more frustrated I get.
Cool. So on the very kind of same topic about board gaming is, if I'm doing the one that's explaining the board game, if I'm the one doing the board game teach, is someone who's like distracted during the board gaming teach. So let's be honest, the board gaming, like that's the worst part of board gaming is that you have to jump over this hurdle of sitting through a rules explanation. It's like, okay, you came here for fun and now here's like a 20-minute classroom that you have to like sit through before we get to the fun.
Yeah, it's funny how rules make games fun, but they're not fun themselves.
That's right. But like if I'm explaining a rule, inevitably like somebody will like take out their cell phone and start like texting somebody or something, and I'll just like sometimes I'll just stop because like I realize that they're not like paying attention, and then sometimes they'll be like, oh no, you can go on, and I'm like, no, I can't. Because one of two things is gonna happen. Like either you're gonna finally put your phone in and then go, okay, wait, what? Or you're going to be playing the game and then like halfway through I'm going to do something. You're going to go, I didn't know you could do that. To which I will say, I told you in the rules explanation. But you weren't paying attention. Inevitably, somebody will be like, you never told me that. I'll be like, I remember telling you that. I told you that already. I like to get it through as quickly as possible. Which means that it's like, it's best to have like, an attentive audience.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. And I'm glad I didn't crush you by saying
No. My other two pet peeves have to do with the world of rules, teach, explanation. So this is kind of
the video.
top pet peeves about learning board games. But so for me, when I'm teaching a game, so first I'll bring out a game, I start setting it up. And then someone at the table is like, okay, how do you play? But I'm still setting up the game. I can't teach you at the same time as I'm pulling these things out of pouches. And I try and do a good job of being like, here, shuffle this deck of cards up, or separate these tokens, or whatever. I try and give people jobs while we're taking the game out so that they have something to do. Always there's going to be someone who's like, okay, how do you play? And I have to be like, just wait. Like, I can't multitask it that way. I can't start telling you how to play the game when I'm still getting the board out and I'm still getting all the pieces out. And so I know that's not me. I know, you can probably figure it out, but you just give the person teaching the game time to get everything set out, and then, okay, now everyone can see what the different aspects of the board are, can see the different components, and away we go. But people are really eager to play, right? And that kind of goes to your point.
Yeah.
You just want to jump to the gameplay. You just want to go, let's get playing.
Okay, well, I love like having a game night be a whole experience. Like I love really great snacks or drinks. Yeah, one of my pet peeves is just when the snacking doesn't jive with the playing. Like if a snack is served that's too messy, then it's like super awkward because you don't want to touch the game like every turn, and or if your snack is too far away from you and you have to like reach like, yes. Oh, I want more chips, actually. I really love, like, that's one of the reasons I love board game cafes, actually. Not that we always, like, we don't go very often, but just to like get a nice like latte or a nice, I don't know, little treat and like have that enhance the experience. And on the same note, I'll just throw in another pet peeve that's somewhat related. I love getting to chat with people over board games. That's one of the reasons I love playing board games. But I find when the board game is too heavy, then like people just use their turn to think and I use my turn to think. So yeah, just finding that balance of like, sometimes it's really frustrating to me when I'm with someone that I like want to be catching up with, but we just can't really chat because the board game we picked wasn't conducive to that. So just like, yeah, balancing those factors.
So yeah, when hospitality and the game clash.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Father Greg, what's next? Your last pet peeve.
Nice.
We only have one more that you can talk about.
That's right. Darn it. There's so many. No. Kind of, Sarah's serve as nice lead-ins. Maybe we'll disagree a little bit on something. But yeah, when you have a decently heavy game, right? Yes, when you have something that is requiring some degree of mental ability that like thought process is going into, there's a lot of decision space involved, there's a lot of choices. On my turn, if this is a complicated game, I expect you to be doing something.
Okay. I was gonna say like when people talk to me on my turn, I'm like, so how's it going? How's so and so? What have you been up to?
Right. So I like
That could take one form. That could be one form.
that's right. That is one form of the problem. Like, and that's why actually like when myself and another Dan meet for board gaming, we always like spend the first like hour just talking.
Right.
And then we'll go into like a board gaming.
Yeah.
You're right. If you have friends over, you ideally want to be able to talk to them. However,
in only certain moments, designated times for conversation.
so this is kind of related to the problem of AP, and I think those two are kind of the same beast for me. Because I don't mind, if a game is complicated, I don't mind you spending time to think about it. But if you're spending like 10 minutes on your turn thinking about what you're going to do, and then when I'm playing, you're just like lollygagging about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to your turn and you're like, oh, it's my turn? Oh, sorry. Okay, let me think. I'm like, no. You were supposed to be thinking what I was playing, because when you're playing, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And so the times when like I go grab a drink or like I go grab snacks or whatever are like the times when like I already know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And everyone else is playing. I'm like, cool, I got my turn already planned out. I'm just going to go like, now I can go over or maybe engage in a conversation with somebody else that already looks like they also know what they're doing on their turn.
Yeah.
And kind of leave the players who do take more time to think through things, but like it's great if you could do that on the other player's turn, even if it's like kind of just a game where what you do doesn't really matter to me. It's like, great, cool, spend your turn like planning out your actions so that
So in a game where you could be blocked, like you can plan your turn ahead, but you might be blocked, do you plan an alternate or do you just wait and see? Does that make sense?
For sure, some games are much better at this than others. Like Five Tribes is kind of a notorious example where like the board state is constantly changing, and so there is that element of like, oh shoot, I was gonna move this group of pieces and end on the white square, but I can't do that anymore. And so that's just an annoying part of the game itself. I think for sure, like in my own mind, when I'm thinking about things, I'm like, okay, well, I'd really like to do the blue action, but like, if not, I guess I'll settle for the red one.
Yeah.
Like sort of planning out different contingencies.
Yeah, so I was going to say this, because I was going to agree with you totally. Although, lately I'm finding myself doing that a little bit.
Well, we're playing a lot of heavier games right now, like as part of the BGG Top 10 and stuff like that. And like, say, I don't mind players that think a lot. Like if it's a tough game, because if you're taking a long time, it's probably because I'm also taking a long time.
Yes.
Because I'm like, as you're taking a long time, I don't mind that because I'm like, oh great, he's got 10 minutes to make up his mind because like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
But if it's a game like, a relatively kind of easy game, you're playing Ticket to Ride, and it gets to your turn and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, you're either playing a trade or you're picking up cards. There's 5 players that have taken their turn in between you. What are you thinking about?
Trigger warning to all of our AP players out there. This is not a personal attack.
Yeah, no lollygagging.
No, I think it's saying a lot of AP can be helped by doing work on other players' turns.
Yes.
So if you are that type of player, I don't mind playing with you.
Yeah.
But I just cool. If you're going to take a little bit more time, then start thinking now.
Okay, my last pet peeve, again, having to do with the rules explanation. And this is totally my fault that this happened. Because I can get rules wrong. I'm not the great rules teacher when it comes to the nitty gritty. But when I am teaching rules and someone else asks to see the rule book, that is frustrating. That is
Probably done this to you at least 5 times.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. And you know what? By and large, that person finds something that I'm not teaching right, and it's a better experience through the play, all in all. But just you take a hit to the ego.
Yeah, it just undermines things.
Yeah, just a hit to the ego when you want to show that you're a competent board game player and teacher, and someone's like, "Hey, can I take a look?" That doesn't sound right, or whatever. And it's oh, and then when they're right, it's even worse. Yeah. But grateful ultimately to them. But yes, that is my last pet peeve.
Lucky for you, I have an aversion to rule books. I won't ever read them, so yeah.
Sarah, you're finishing off this list.
Yeah. Okay, my biggest pet peeve, and it's gonna sound funny when I say it, but my biggest pet peeve is when people that are playing the game that we chose and introduced just don't get it. It's no hard feelings towards them. I just feel it's so awkward to play with someone and you can just tell that they it's not clicking, and they either just kind of grin and bear it, but they're clearly not enjoying themselves, or they ask a ton of questions. Yeah, I just feel like it's a miss when we're yeah, let's all play this, and then yeah, it just gets really awkward. I can't enjoy myself. And even if we're introducing a game and someone's doing really poorly, sometimes I sabotage myself a little bit just so that it's not oh, I got 125. What did you get?
Right.
Yeah, so I just do not like that feeling. I want everyone to feel included and confident or comfortable.
Yeah.
At a board game night. So yeah, love playing board games with people who aren't familiar with board games. That's not a problem at all. It's just picking that right game.
And sometimes you think that you're yes, this will be good for anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just not. And you have to swallow that. And this is more of a I would say the pet peeve lies in the pet peeve is us choosing poorly.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
It's not.
I was gonna say this is the nicest pet peeve ever. This is what I don't like is me. I don't like when I pick a bad game.
It reminds me of we played Monopoly when we were pretty young at my grandma's house, and whenever someone would go out of the game, she'd be here, just take some money. Overly polite.
Yeah, no, but that makes sense because board games are about people ultimately, and so when we fail to include people into a hobby that's all about people, it makes you sad.
Come on over. Bring some great snacks.
Just follow all these rules, and we will have a lot of fun playing board gaming.
If you can look at your cards, never ask to touch the rule book. And don't be on your phone during the rules explanation. And no lollygagging during my turn.
Yes, party people, you're welcome to play board games with us anytime. Just don't screw up. All right, party people, so those are our pet peeves. What are your pet peeves? Sound off down below. Get as angry as you possibly can. Let us know what you hate about things people do when you're trying to teach them board games or you're just trying to play board games with people. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. We really appreciate it. Please like the video, share the video, whatever. Let people know that we're decent and cool. And thank you for hanging out with us. Again, we love engaging with you in conversation down below. And until next time, have the best day.
Bye.
See you later.